Rose was a widow, a kind-hearted woman who had devoted her entire life to raising her only child, John. John was her pride, her joy, and her reason to smile. Ever since he was a little boy, their bond had been unshakable. They were more than mother and son, they were best friends. Their small house was always filled with laughter. Whether it was John telling funny stories or Rose sharing tales from her youth, the sound of their joy echoed in every corner. Neighbors often commented on how inseparable they were. Wherever John went, Rose wasn't far behind, and wherever Rose was, John was sure to be close by. One sunny afternoon, after they had finished lunch, Rose sat with John in their cozy living room. She smiled warmly at him, her eyes full of love. "John," she began softly, "you know how much you mean to me. You're my everything. But there's something I need to talk to you about." John looked at her curiously. "What is it, Mom?" She hesitated for a moment, then said, "I've been praying to God, asking Him to give you a good wife. Someone who will love you and take care of you, just as I have. But, my dear, I'm also praying that she won't come between us. You know how much I love you, and I don't think I could bear it if someone took you away from me." John chuckled, trying to lighten the mood. "Mom, you worry too much. I'm not going anywhere." Rose smiled but didn't let the matter drop. "Listen to me, John. I know I have a good eye for people. Let me help you find the right woman. I promise you'll love her." John leaned back in his chair, a mischievous grin spreading across his face. "Mom, there's something I need to tell you. I've already found someone." Rose's eyes widened in surprise. "You have?" "Yes," John said, nodding. "She's wonderful, Mom. You'll love her. She's kind, caring, and everything you've been praying for." Rose tilted her head, studying him closely. "Are you sure, John? Are you absolutely sure she's the one?" "Very sure," John replied confidently. Rose sighed, a mixture of relief and concern flickering in her expression. "Well, if you're so certain, bring her to me. I need to meet her. I want to see with my own eyes if she's as good as you say." John laughed. "All right, Mom, I'll bring her to meet you soon, but I promise, you'll love her just as much as I do." Rose nodded, though her mind was already racing with questions. Who was this girl? Was she truly good enough for her John? She trusted her son, but she also trusted her instincts. She silently prayed again, asking God to guide her and protect their close bond. As the evening fell, Rose and John continued their usual routine of sharing stories and jokes. But in the back of Rose's mind, the thought of John's mysterious girlfriend lingered. Would this girl fit into their happy life? Or would she change everything? Only time would tell. The next day, John brought Anne, the woman he had been dating for years, to meet his mother. As they walked into the house, Rose's eyes scanned Anne carefully. Anne was polite, humble, and carried herself with grace. She smiled warmly at Rose, but beneath her calm exterior she was nervous. Rose kept her thoughts to herself. Deep down, she wasn't entirely convinced that anyone could be good enough for her son. But as she saw the joy in John's eyes and the love he had for Anne, she knew she had to accept her. For John's happiness. A few months later, John and Anne got married in a small but beautiful wedding. The ceremony was simple yet heartfelt, with close friends and family gathered to celebrate their union. The house was filled with laughter and well wishes, and even Rose managed to smile through her mixed emotions. She only wanted the best for John, and now Anne was part of their family. After their wedding, John, Anne, and Rose lived together in the same house. At first, everything seemed perfect. They laughed, shared meals, and appeared to the world as one happy family. But beneath the surface, challenges began to brew. John had a job, but it didn't pay well enough to sustain the household. Anne, on the other hand, had a steady, well-paying job. One evening, Anne sat John down for a serious conversation. "John," she began gently, "I know your job isn't paying much right now, and I don't want you to feel stressed. My salary is enough for us to manage until you find something better. Let's use it to sustain ourselves." John hesitated. He was a proud man and didn't want to rely on his wife's earnings. "Anne, I don't want you to bear this burden alone." "It's not a burden," Anne said with a reassuring smile. "We're a team. What's mine is ours. No one has to know where the money comes from. Let's keep it between us." Reluctantly, John agreed. From that day, Anne's salary became the primary source of their household expenses. But they didn't tell anyone, not even Rose. To Rose, it appeared that her son was the one providing for the family, and she was proud of him for taking care of his wife and mother. However, as time went on, Rose began to grow critical of Anne. She believed Anne was spending too much of John's hard-earned money. One afternoon, while Anne was cleaning the living room, Rose approached her with a stern expression. "Anne," she said sharply, "you need to be more careful with the way you spend my son's money. Do you think money grows on trees?" Anne paused, surprised by the comment, but she remained calm. "I'm sorry if it seems that way, Mama," she said softly. Rose wasn't satisfied. "You came into this house to reap where you didn't sow. My son worked hard for what we have, and you've just balanced yourself here, spending it all. You need to learn some restraint." Anne felt the sting of Rose's words, but chose to stay quiet. She didn't want to create tension in the family or upset John by telling him what his mother had said. Instead, she endured the hurtful comments silently, convincing herself it was better to keep the peace. Rose's criticisms continued. Whenever she saw Anne buying groceries, new clothes, or even small household items, she would mutter under her breath, "Here she goes again, spending my son's money like water." Despite the unfair treatment, Anne never lashed out. She continued to be respectful and kind to Rose, even when it was difficult. She believed that telling John about his mother's behavior might cause a rift between them, and she didn't want to be the reason for any family conflict. Over time, the emotional toll began to weigh on Anne, but she hid it well. To the outside world, they were still a happy family. Rose continued to believe that her son was the sole provider, never realizing the sacrifices Anne was making to keep the household running. Anne's love for John and her desire to maintain harmony in their home kept her going. She prayed for strength and hoped that one day Rose would see her true intentions and appreciate her efforts. But for now, Anne silently bore the weight of Rose's misunderstandings, all for the sake of love and peace. One sunny afternoon, Anne was getting ready to attend a friend's party. She dressed in a beautiful gown and wore a stylish wig. As she admired herself in the mirror, she smiled, feeling confident and excited. Just as she was about to leave, Rose, John's mother, noticed her. Rose's eyes narrowed as she took in Anne's appearance. "Anne," she said sharply, "you spend too much money on clothes and wigs. That's my son's money you're wasting. Remove those things and give them to me." Anne was taken aback. "Mama," she replied politely, "please allow me to go. I'm already running late for the party." But Rose stood her ground, refusing to let Anne leave. Hurt and confused, Anne quietly slipped out of the house, determined not to let Rose ruin her day. At the party, Anne was dancing with her friends, laughing and enjoying the lively atmosphere. The music was loud, the room was filled with joy, and for a moment, she forgot all her troubles. However, her happiness was short-lived. To Anne's shock, Rose suddenly appeared at the party. She approached the MC, requesting the microphone under the guise of making an important announcement. The MC, unaware of her intentions, handed her the mic. Rose marched toward Anne, who was still dancing with her friends, and spoke loudly for everyone to hear. "Please give me that wig. It's my son's money, you used to buy it." Gasps and murmurs filled the room as everyone turned to watch. Anne froze, her face flushing with embarrassment. Rose didn't stop there. She began tugging at the wig, trying to pull it off Anne's head. Anne's eyes filled with tears. "Mama, please stop," she begged. "You're embarrassing me. I'll embarrass you even more if you don't give me that wig and those clothes right now," Rose retorted. Overwhelmed, Anne burst into tears and ran out of the party. She went straight home, locking herself in her room. For hours she cried, waiting for John to return so she could finally share everything she had been enduring. When John came home that evening, he found Anne sitting on the bed, her eyes red and swollen from crying. Concerned, he rushed to her side. "Anne, what happened? Why are you crying?" he asked gently. Through her tears, Anne poured out everything. How his mother had been insulting and humiliating her since the day they got married, how she endured it silently for the sake of peace and love, and how she'd been providing for the household while Rose wrongly assumed it was John's money. She ended by saying, "John, I love you, but I can't take this anymore. Either we leave this house and move to the city, or I'll leave both of you." John was furious. "She did what?" he exclaimed. Without another word, he stormed out of the room to confront his mother. Rose was in the living room when John approached her, his face filled with anger. "Mama," he began, "how could you? Anne has been providing for this house since we got married, and you've been treating her this way? Do you realize how much she has done for us? And now you've gone to her friend's party to humiliate her? I'm ashamed of you. Since you clearly don't want us here, Anne and I will move to the city. You can stay here alone." Rose was stunned. She hadn't known the truth and now realized how wrong she had been. Tears welled up in her eyes as she rushed to Anne's room. Anne was still crying when Rose entered. Without hesitation, Rose knelt before her, tears streaming down her face. "Anne, please forgive me," she pleaded. "I thought it was John's money all along. I was wrong. I've been blind to all the good you've done for this family. Please don't leave. I'm so sorry for everything I've said and done. I'll make it right." Anne was deeply moved by Rose's sincere apology. Though she had been hurt, she remembered the love she had for John and her desire for peace in their home. Wiping her tears, she helped Rose to her feet. "Mama," Anne said softly, "I forgive you. Let's put this behind us and start over." Rose hugged Anne tightly, promising to treat her like a daughter from that day forward. True to her word, Rose began to shower Anne with love and care. She praised her openly, apologized for her past behavior, and worked hard to make Anne feel valued and appreciated. The family's bond grew stronger, and their home was once again filled with laughter and joy. Anne, John, and Rose lived happily together, their hearts united by love and forgiveness. Moral lessons. 1. Love and patience can overcome any challenge. Anne's quiet strength and forgiveness restored peace in her home. 2. Assumptions can lead to misunderstandings. Rose's quick judgment caused unnecessary pain. Always seek the truth before acting. 3. Sincere apologies and forgiveness heal relationships. Rose's heartfelt apology and Anne's willingness to forgive brought their family closer. Thank you for reading this story. Remember, love, respect, and understanding are the keys to a happy family. If you enjoyed this story, please like, share, and stay tuned to my channel for more inspiring tales. See you next time.